it will benefit future candidates as well. I understand if there's perhaps a question you are not comfortable asking either through chat or in person while the recording is happening, feel free to reach out to us via email. It's chs@nuffic.nl. So any questions at any time, you can reach out to us that way as well. But then this will be recorded, so no need to make intense notes, because you can always look back as well. And you can also share it, of course, if you think this is relevant to other people as well. So once again, welcome to this Cultural Heritage Scholarship Information Session. Happy to have you. My name is Rianne. This is my colleague Inge, and our colleague Adera is also present. We'll be happy to walk you through the program. Briefly, we hope to explain to you today a little bit about the Cultural Heritage Program itself. And so the agenda for today, we'll discuss briefly the purpose of the Cultural Heritage Program, as well as why this is an amazing program and a fantastic opportunity in the field of cultural heritage. And my colleague Inge will then talk you through more specific details of the application process, as well as some fantastic tips and tricks about how to make sure your application is going to be the one to be selected for a scholarship. And then, of course, we'll make sure to leave sufficient time for Q&A. So any questions you might want to ask us either directly in this session is very welcome. Later is also always possible. So please know where to find us and reach out if you are interested or if you're running into any challenges. Yes. We're always here to help, and looking forward to receiving as many interesting applications as possible. So we appreciate your time and attention. So in regards to the Cultural Heritage Program, I think it's of interest for you to know that, of course, this program is focusing on 5 countries: Indonesia, Nigeria, Sri Lanka, Suriname, and South Africa. The program is funded by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and Nuffic is managing it. It is part of a broader effort in international heritage cooperation. So it's specifically developed as part of the international cultural policy. This means that it is a policy developed by the Dutch Ministry of Education and of Foreign Affairs together, specifically for the theme of cultural heritage. It is really a joint international knowledge cooperation within this topic. So this is focused around the advice on colonial collections by the Dutch Gonsalves Commission. And this commission really had various discussions with people or governments in various countries, of which the 5 mentioned here, but also other countries that are part of this international knowledge cooperation around cultural heritage. So it's a broad joint effort between these countries to gain knowledge on the cultural heritage, or the joint cultural heritage in some cases. So this commission spoke to various parties, stakeholders, civil servants in the various countries, and produced a report inventorying their wishes, their needs to work around cultural heritage, and as well as colonial cultural heritage, and possible requests for return of Dutch art to several countries. And one of the things that came out of that report was the fact that many countries need more knowledge on the objects that are available in the Netherlands. So there's other stakeholders that are working on a process in that regard. But another outcome was also that there's really a strong need for more knowledge, and especially more knowledge or the opportunity to gain more knowledge for young people, because in several countries, the museum or the cultural sector can be run by people who are perhaps a little bit older. So it's very welcome to have people that are in the earlier phase of their career develop this knowledge to help the cultural sector in the specific countries develop. And of course, every country has their own development wishes, and the cultural and museum sectors are in various stages in the different countries. So it's really this program offers the opportunity to provide that knowledge on a tailor-made basis to match with the knowledge needs in the individual countries, and for candidates to provide a plan of how they can study in the Netherlands to gain this knowledge and then to return to the cultural sector. So that is the focus of the Cultural Heritage Program. It's really around building this knowledge and skills among younger professionals or even students,
Yes.
that they can provide their country with. It can be various things. As I said, these countries are in various stages, or the various museum sectors have different requirements. So it can be more business driven need on how to operate a museum, or it can be very specifically focused on some of the colonial objects that are present in the Netherlands, whether it is contributing to this provenance research on these objects, or even to contribute or gather information. So a restitution request can be made. It can also be to gain knowledge, to be able to fulfill a more policy-driven role in the country. It can also be a very technical museum sector knowledge, like restoration. So there's a very broad opportunity within this program. The course list, as you may have seen on the website, is very varied. So the programs in the Netherlands all offer all different kinds of skills and knowledge to be able to gain these different types of knowledge. But the main question is really, how does your knowledge that you will gain contribute to the museum or cultural sector or objects in your home history? So hopefully that gives a bit of a broader overview of the purpose of the program and why Nuffic is able to offer this opportunity for, we're thinking around 15 to 20 students to come to the Netherlands on a wonderful scholarship. We're of course a little biased, but we believe it's a really wonderful opportunity, and not only because it's a very generous scholarship. Of course, the Netherlands is not a very cheap country, so full coverage is can never be promised, but it's a very generous scholarship, which covers your full tuition and travel and several other types of costs. So your plane tickets to the Netherlands, your visa costs, everything to get you started. There is a monthly allowance. There is a coverage for study materials. So it's a very, very generous scholarship. But that's not the only thing, of course, because this financial support is nice, but it's definitely not everything. This opportunity is also really special because aside from the possibility to study in the Netherlands and to gain the knowledge and skills that are of use to you, we also cooperate very closely with various other actors in this field. So the Dutch Research Council, for example, currently has a call out on on cultural heritage for various researchers from various countries. There's also a colonial collections consortium, which we are working closely together with. So while you will be in the Netherlands as a scholarship holder, we will offer you the opportunity to connect with these professionals that are already working in the field, to expand your network internationally. There will likely be people coming from countries all around the world working on this topic, and we will offer, as much as possible, offer you access to everything they're doing, and to this whole broader network to make sure you have a strong start. And of course, you can experience living in the Netherlands and and living in Europe and all the wonderful things, and sometimes less wonderful things that brings. So it's a very broad opportunity that is well funded, and that makes it an amazing chance. So we hope that has piqued your interest. And now my colleague Inge will take you through what to do if you are indeed interested in this opportunity.
Yes, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Inge, and I'm here the program manager at Nuffic for this program. And I would like to take you through the application process and criteria, steps to take. And I think maybe the first good step to take is look at the website studyinNL.org. The first one gives you information about studying in the Netherlands, how to apply, where to find the university information. And the second website is the specific website for the scholarship program. It gives very specific information about the program, the criteria, how to apply. And we advise you to study all the information on this page very well, so you can submit a very good application. The next information we'd like to touch on is the eligibility criteria. These are very important because these are very hard criteria. If you do not meet these criteria, you unfortunately are not eligible for the scholarship. So it's important to study them well. First, we have nationality criteria. On the website, you'll find more detailed information about this. For instance, if you're from Nigeria, you can, the place of residence is very important. So there's also for South African students a different criteria, and also for candidates from Sri Lanka. Age is another very important criteria. You can't be older than 35 at the time you submit your application. Educational background is another important criteria. You need at least a bachelor degree, or you have obtained your degree before 1st of June. And there's also, it has to be in a specific field, because it's a related field to the scholarship program. Art history, heritage studies, museum studies, as mentioned in the slide. And then, of course, the master's program for which you would like the scholarship, it has to be on the program list. It has to be full-time, and it has to start around 1st of September 24. And it should have a duration of 1 year. Next to this, you need to be admitted to the master's program. You don't, at the time of submitting the application, need to be admitted to the program. You have to at least show proof that you have applied for the program. So this gives you some time between submitting your scholarship application and getting at least conditionally admitted. As I said, the information, all detailed information about the criteria is mentioned on the studyinNL.org website for the program. The application process is also something to take into consideration. These are the advice steps for your application. Please carefully check the application criteria. Then select a master's program from the course list. You can, in your application form, you can have a preference for maximum of 3 master's programs. So that's something to think about. Then you apply for academic admission for the master's programs you apply for. If you submit 3 master's programs in your application form, you also have to apply for these 3 master's programs. So keep that in mind. Collect information and then apply for the scholarship. Here it is important to mention that collecting information, applying for the programs, it takes time. So please keep that in mind. Please start on time with your application. Oh yeah, and also, yeah, it's also important. Sorry, I forgot. Also important. Please make sure that your application is complete and make sure that the information is clear. And as requested, should this not be the case, then we might have to decide that your application is not eligible.
So if you have any questions during this process,
Yeah, let
please
us know.
reach out to us
Yeah.
before the deadline, because we're happy to help. If you're
Yes.
worried if something is complete, we can only verify this before the deadline. If the deadline is passed, we can only decide on the documentation that has
Yes.
been presented. But before the deadline, we're happy to help you with any questions through our email.
More than happy. Yes. So required documents, also important. It's always the basics. We need a copy of your valid ID, a motivation letter, a CV, 2 reference letters, copy of your highest obtained diploma. If you currently are doing your bachelor's program or a master's program, please submit a copy of your transcript of your latest obtained grades. And if possible, an admission letter. Could be a conditional admission or proof that you have applied for the program. And also very important is a signed obligations and conditions form. It's a brief summary of the most important obligations and conditions of the scholarship program. It should be signed by both you and the university for which you apply for the master's program.
And maybe in regards to the motivation letter, we're asking quite specific questions. So it's really your time to shine and to explain to us what your goal is for your career and for the sector and how you can contribute. So that's really your opportunity to share your wonderful ideas with us and to share your vision on what is the best approach with us, as well as the reference letters, but they can also really be evidence of your current ties or your intended ties with the sector. So if you can provide a relevant reference letter from a professor that works in the field or somebody who works at a museum or a cultural sector, that would really speak to your candidacy.
Yeah.
Thanks, Inge.
Yeah. Yes. Tips, most importantly, start as soon as possible collecting information and submitting documentation. Submitting an application before the deadline is not advisable. If you have questions, ask them as soon as possible. Yes. And also study all the information carefully. We have the information on the website. Please check them carefully before starting with the collecting of the information. And of course, contact the Dutch institution for your application to the master's program. Also, this takes time, and time we do not have a lot of. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, important information. The deadline to apply is Monday, 8th of April, 4 o'clock The Hague time. We will be awarding the scholarship in spring 24, and we are aiming for mid-May for the award of informing all candidates of the results of their application. Starts then, of course, in September 24. As I mentioned before, the information is on the webpage for the scholarship program. Questions, please do not, again, hesitate to contact us as soon as possible. That's my part. I'd love to hear if you have questions, if things are unclear. No?
We can give it a few minutes for people to let this
Yeah,
sink in. I know
sink
it's a
in.
lot of information.
Yeah, it's
So take a minute or two to
Good.
think about it.
I have a question.
yes. Hello.
Hello, I have a question.
Yes.
Can people from the same institute apply for the scholarship program, and what are the chances that these people will get selected? And another
Great
question
question.
is how and per country, right? How many people in the country can be selected for this scholarship program?
Yeah.
Well, great questions. Thank you very much. In regards to people being selected from the same institution, that's not exclusionary. It's not like
No.
we intend to only grant one per institution. It varies, of course, per country. Countries like Suriname are much smaller than countries like Indonesia. So there are more different organizations and institutions available in some countries than in others. So that will also factor in, but it's definitely possible if this is a really relevant organization and it's people with relevant goals and knowledge they would need to acquire where they can help build this organization out. That's definitely a possibility. I think we know from experience it's actually easier to make a larger change if you can work together with somebody.
Yes.
So it could be presented as a bonus where you say, well, if we can together, we have even more force to make this plan work. So it could be presented as mutually reinforcing. So I don't really see an issue there. Of course, it's not likely that all scholarships will go only to one institution. We do keep an eye on geographical distribution and other factors. So that actually links to your second question.
Yeah.
There is no strict distribution per country. We're of course fully dependent on the applications that come in. So if there are no applications coming in from a certain country, we cannot grant any scholarships there. But we strive to have at least some scholarships in every country. To have a fair possibility for all countries to enjoy the benefits of the scholarship program. But there's not a strict division that all countries will get 5 or 6 scholarships. So it really depends on the quality of the application.
Yeah.
I hope that's a sufficient answer to your question.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. My mind is clear now.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Good to hear. Any other questions?
I have another question. It's
Yeah,
about the
please.
TOEFL score. So if you're applying for a university, if you have, for example, a TOEFL score of 80, does that play a role in getting accepted in that in one of those universities of?
Yeah, that's something that the university decides. We decide on the scholarship, and the university we do not consult with the university about getting students admitted, for instance, or which criteria they should use for academic admission.
Yeah, I know of a program that just sets a minimum. So if you meet the minimum criteria, it's just a yes or no. If you have the minimum TOEFL score, it doesn't matter if you have 10 out of 10 TOEFL score or just the minimum. But I can't speak to if that's the case for every program. So it's really up to the university to establish that.
Oh, well, thank you.
Yeah.
But do reach out to them and
Yes.
And verify. They're more than happy
Yes.
to help.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
Hello,
Hello.
good afternoon. I have a question about so in the call for the scholarship, there's information about being able to do research with like institutions and collections with colonial collections obtained during the colonial era. And so I'm wondering to what extent is Nuffic going to enable like the people who receive the scholarship? Are you going to help us to build relationships with these institutions, or is that our responsibility after receiving the award to go and like reach out to those institutions and develop those relationships, or is Nuffic more involved or responsible in that process?
Great question.
Yes.
Thank you. So where in principle, we facilitate the study process. And where we can, we also try to facilitate the connections to the institution. So if it is, for example, a connection or an institution or a museum that we are in contact with, or that where we know a person, we will, of course, happily connect you. I wouldn't necessarily say it's our responsibility, but it's something we happily facilitate. But even Nuffic doesn't know every museum in the Netherlands, so it will also depend on the specific request. But of course, we're happy to look with the scholarship. This is a very small and may I say elite group of scholarship holders of about 20 people, more or less. So we're happy to facilitate any connections where we can.
All right, thank you very much.
Any others?
Yes.
Yes.
Shanika.
Hi, thanks for taking us through everything. Just out of curiosity to know if this is the first time the scholarship is being awarded, and if there is room for it to continue over the next few years.
Good question.
Yeah.
Thank you. So this current program is, as far as we're aware, it's a one-time opportunity. Of course, if this turns out to be a wonderful success, we as program managers feel a responsibility to at least suggest perhaps continuing. But of course, this will completely depend. The ministry is kindly providing the funding for this program, and it will depend on their budget opportunities, which will depend on, again, whatever a new Dutch cabinet will look like. So I guess that's a very confusing way to say this is a one-time program, and we don't expect a new round currently. Any other questions?
Yes. I hope the Dutch institutions were clear where you can apply, or any other criteria. I think we're maybe. I think the information for now is sufficient.
Yes, I think If there are no further questions, if there are more questions, as we mentioned before, please find us ths at nuffic.nl. If this is it for the time being, then I would like to thank you for your time and your attention and your interest in the program. We hope to be receiving your applications before the deadline. As said, please start as soon as possible and find us if you have any questions. We're more than happy to help and resolve anything we can before the deadline. It's 8th of April. I understand the application is quite a bit of paperwork, so the sooner you start, the better. And we wish you all the best of luck until the 8th of April, and of course after, but that is more urgent. For now, we would like to thank you and wish you a wonderful day.
Yeah, thank you for joining.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.